Do you find yourself going from one AI agent to another and trying out different tools all the time? If so, Boots might be for you. I'm going to take a little look at a project, and you can see here that I've got a GitHub Copilot instructions file with some guidelines for the AI to follow. And that's all well and good if I'm using Copilot, but what if I suddenly want to maybe switch up from Copilot and use Claude, or maybe use Cursor or something else? Then I've got to take my guidelines and copy and paste them to another file, maybe get rid of the Copilot one if I'm not using Copilot anymore, maybe keep them in sync and have multiple copies of exactly the same file, and it can get a little bit of a pain to keep maintained. So we're going to see what Boots can do for us. I'm going to open up the terminal, and here I'm going to call, using the CPX package manager, or package executor, I'm going to call Boots, and I'm going to use the stomp command initially. So what the stomp command is going to do is it's going to go and detect any of the various different guidelines files that we might have here. In this case, it detected that we had one in the .github directory in Copilot instructions, and it's moved it into an AI/guidelines directory in a copilot.md file. So that's all it's done, is moved it into a different directory so far. Now that it's done that, as a one-off command, what we can do is we can just run Boots on its own. And as we do this, it's going to give us this little prompt. It's going to say, we're running Boots. And we have this little terminal UI where we can select what we actually want to use. So I'm going to come in here and check Claude Code and Cursor, and I'm going to keep Copilot selected as well. You can see at the bottom, it also says it's auto-detected Warp and GitHub Copilot. So it's detected that I have Warp installed on my machine and that I might want to use that as an AI agent. And it's also detected Copilot because there was an existing Copilot instructions file here. So I'm going to uncheck Warp here, and I'm going to hit return, and we're going to see that it runs. And if we look at the output, it has added one guideline, the Copilot guideline that we had initially, to our Claude Code, GitHub Copilot, and Cursor files. So we can come along and look in our Cursor directory and see it's created a Cursor guidelines file here. So we're going to be within these guidelines tags, and it's going to say what file is referenced here. So let's say I wanted to change this up. I'm going to rename this one to just guidelines, and then let's say I've got another one called tests.md, and in here I'm going to put some information like run PHP unit to execute the tests. I'll just keep it simple for now. If I come and run Boots again, once again, it's going to detect that we've got Cursor, Claude Code, GitHub Copilot instructions file already, and it's detected that we've got Warp installed. So I'm going to disable Warp and install this, and you can see now that it's actually taken both the guidelines file and the test file that we had and bundled those into a single one. So we come into the Cursor rules file, and we have the guidelines file just like we did before, but if we scroll down, it's also got the tests rules right underneath it. So we can really nicely split up our AI guidelines into multiple different files in this .ai/guidelines directory, and every single tool that we are wanting to use is going to get kind of joined together in a nice way. And if you did have something that you wanted to keep separate, say you wanted to tell Claude Code to do something specific that other AI agents can't, then we could come along and type something outside of this guidelines XML tag. So I'm going to come in and say, always use planning mode first. Ask me for further information if you need. And with that, let's say I'm going to go and update the test here. So I'm going to say run test to execute the test instead, for example. And now if I go to run Boots again, and I run it in exactly the same things, we can start to look and see that our Claude.md got updated with this run pest to execute the tests, but the stuff outside that guidelines XML tag didn't get affected at all. And the same for all of the other ones. We have the new information here, but anything outside this guidelines isn't going to be affected. So you can use this to keep lots of different AI agents in sync with all of your main guidelines while still maintaining agent-specific guidelines. It's really, really useful. If you're using Laravel and using agentic coding tools and that, I really recommend using Laravel Boost, not Boots, Boost. Boots is a fork of Boost, but it's made language agnostic. So to run Boots, you don't need a Laravel application. You don't need PHP even. You can run Boots on any project you want, and it will detect the right things and move it into the right places for you.